Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I rise to provide my input into this debate on the Appropriations Bill.
Sorry.
Standing order one, are you closing the debate?
No, there is no closing.
There is no closing debate on.
There's no wrap up in this session.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Wrap it up then, Bill.
Righto. And of course, this is part of the first budget delivered by the 𝙍𝙀𝙇𝙀𝙍𝙍 government. And before I speak the significance of these bills and the work that they enable, I want to place on the record my appreciation for the hard work and dedication shown over the past fortnight. To the Chair, Deputy Chair and members of the Estimates Committee, I thank you very, very much. Your scrutiny and questions are a vital part of our parliamentary process. And I also extend my thanks to the staff of the Legislative Assembly and to all the public servants and departmental officers who work tirelessly to prepare and participate in the hearings. And it's through this robust process, Mr Deputy Speaker, that Territorians can see not only how their money is spent, but also who is focused on fighting for them and who is distracted on fighting for themselves. Mr Deputy Speaker, this is not just a budget, it is a reset. It provides a strong financial foundation for the CLP's responsible, focused and ambitious plan to rebuild the Territory. The Appropriations Bill 2025-26 authorises $9.18 billion in spending, including $2.2 billion in new policy commitments, sweeping tax reforms and long overdue infrastructure repair. It's a budget built on reducing crime, rebuilding our economy and restoring the Territory lifestyle we all love so much. And it stands in sharp contrast to the chaos and recklessness we inherited from those opposite. Let me remind this chamber of the position the former government left us in when we took office. We found record debt, $10.55 billion and rising. We found frontline services held together with sticky tape and time-limited funding cliffs worth over $350 million a year. We found press releases with no delivery plans, promises without budgets and projects that existed only on paper. And let's look at some of those projects. The Mandorah Marine Facility has gone up from $50 million to $84.3 million. The Royal Darwin Hospital Mental Health changes there from $38 million up to $86.3 million. And that's really just scratching the surface, Mr Deputy Speaker. If it wasn't clear enough during estimates as to why some projects have been delayed or rescheduled, the answer is simple. Because Labor misled Territorians about what could be delivered, and this government is now having to clean up the projects that they couldn't. We will not follow Labor's example. We will not announce projects that we can't pay for. We will not pretend something is shovel-ready when it hasn't even been costed. We're delivering infrastructure on time and on budget and with integrity. And that's why we referred the Darwin Shiplift to the Public Accounts Committee, because Territorians deserve to know the truth and what the cost of that project is going to be. For over a month to go through page by page with your red pens and highlighters, well, I remember the Leader of the Opposition saying that, and I'm not exactly sure if she's managed to do that during this estimates process. Because, Mr Deputy Speaker, if after 2 weeks of estimates the opposition still can't find the money, maybe it's not the budget that's the problem, maybe it's them. When we came to office, the so-called record infrastructure program we inherited was an absolute circus. Projects overpromised, costs hidden, communities misled, and projects were lucky to make it off the shelf, and if they did, they were way over budget because they sat on that program for so long with old costings. And of course, we've heard of some of those examples. Tiger Brennan, that's a $99 million blowout. The State Square Art Gallery, that monument to political vanity, $47 to $143 million. And the Youth Justice Centre from $50 million to $135 million, Mr Deputy Speaker. And the former government's approach to budgeting was like a pyromaniac managing the fire brigade, setting fires and blaming others for the smoke. And it's very, very pertinent today. And yet again, this is what we've heard from the Leader of the Opposition: refusal to take any responsibility for the position the Territory finds itself in due to the budget that we inherited. And the Leader of the Opposition called us economic vandals. I tell you what, Mr Deputy Speaker, I think the Leader of the Opposition might want to go and have a look in the mirror. Because during estimates we heard constant complaints from the opposition that a $1 billion worth of projects were scrapped. Madam Speaker, their claims in the last 2 weeks have defied belief. Even in opposition, they've continued to mislead Territorians. The projects they refer to were never properly funded to begin with. And it's not that we scrapped them, it's just that they were never actually real. They were just press releases. And let's be clear, announcing a project without a budget is not governance, it's fantasy. And unfortunately for the Territory, the former government spent 8 years of governing in their own make-believe world where projects didn't need to be cashed and debt didn't exist. And if you want to know where the money went, well, it's all in the budget books. You know, the ones you received on this floor, the ones you've now had for over a month to go through, as I said, page by page with your red pens and highlighters. Mr Deputy Speaker, the Territory's biggest ever investment into public safety has occurred in this budget. And the CLP makes no apologies for prioritising law and order. In this budget, we've committed $1.5 billion to public safety, the largest investment in Territory history. And this includes $608 million for police, $495 million for corrections, who the previous government seems to have forgotten about, $78 million for court system resourcing and $180 million for domestic, family and sexual violence initiatives over 5 years. And Mr Deputy Speaker, we are backing our police, we're backing our courts and we are backing corrections, and of course we are backing in our victims because community safety is not optional for us. And what did the previous government do? They put offender welfare ahead of victim safety. They put criminals ahead of the community, letting violent offenders walk, re-offend and then walk again. And the member for 𝙍𝙀𝙇𝙀𝙍 in his contribution today said that we haven't provided anything for Alice Springs. There's no new money. Well, I can tell you, Mr Deputy Speaker, there are 1.5 billion reasons that we're actually investing into Alice Springs. And we all remember what the member for 𝙍𝙀𝙍𝙍 did to Alice Springs when he repealed the liquor laws back a few years ago. We all know what actually happened in Alice Springs, and I'll tell you now, Mr Deputy Speaker, the people of Alice Springs have not forgotten and they have not forgiven.
Point of order.
Point of order, member of 𝙍𝙀𝙍.
Standing Order 1, Mr Speaker, the member for Namatjira needs to correct the record. Legislation wasn't repealed. That's Commonwealth legislation. This parliament didn't repeal any law. Well, I just asked that you correct the record because you're factually incorrect.
Treasurer.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I'll happily correct the record. Yes, it was federal legislation that was falling away, and the previous Labor government had the opportunity to bring in legislation to provide that safety net for the people of Central Australia, and they did not do it, Mr Deputy Speaker. They let that legislation lapse, didn't bother to put anything in its place, and let Alice Springs burn. And to stand here and be lectured by the member for 𝙍𝙀𝙍𝙍 that we're not investing into law and order and social order in Alice Springs is an absolute joke and is an absolute insult. So, under Labor, Mr Deputy Speaker, you can break into someone's home and get a warning. Under the CLP, well, you're going to face some consequences. Under Labor, victims were told to be patient. Under the CLP, we've introduced Australia's toughest bail laws and new offences for ram raids, knife crimes and glorifying violence online. With this budget, we are delivering not just words, but laws and consequences. But, Madam Speaker, this is also a roadmap for economic renewal. We inherited an economy that was stagnant, just 1% growth on average for 8 years, 4 years of actual decline, families leaving and businesses closing. And Madam Speaker, we're starting to turn that ship around. Forecasts now show 7.8% growth in 25-26 and 5.9% growth in 26-27, the fastest in the country, and that is no accident. We're making the Territory the best place to do business by creating the conditions for private investment. $2 million into workforce attraction and skilled migration. $6.4 million for the Office of the Territory Coordinator, $88.4 million into tourism, and streamlined approvals to cut red tape and get projects moving. We're also backing gas, agriculture, mining, defence and tourism, sectors where the Territory holds a natural competitive advantage over the rest of the country. We've passed tax reforms to stimulate the economy and reward Territorians and helping it rebuild with the highest payroll tax-free threshold in the country, now at $2.5 million. Abolished payroll tax on over 3,700 apprentices and trainees. Simplified exemptions for charities and not-for-profits, and introducing a fair 50-cent floor for online lottery and gaming taxation. These are pro-growth, pro-jobs policies. And that's what you'll get from a CLP government, Madam Speaker, an economy that people want to invest in, work and operate in. And Madam Speaker, I want to take a moment to reflect on the opposition's conduct during estimates. Madam Speaker, what we're seeing from the opposition is a party completely unwilling to reflect on their own record in government. They refuse to reckon with the debt they racked up, the services they hollowed out and the communities they left behind. It's like they live like the past is a foreign country to Labor. Instead, all they offer now are personal attacks, cheap, lazy and hollow. No vision, no policy, just noise. And Madam Speaker, that's not scrutiny, it's deflection, and Territorians see right through it. And when it comes down to it, the opposition has not taken this process seriously because, Madam Speaker, I'm not exactly sure whether they were very serious about the entire budget process, and you can see that in the previous budgets that they delivered and the fiscal path that they placed the Territory on. They fixated on infrastructure projects that were already broken, budgets that were already spent, and press releases they apparently never read. They're not here for Territorians, Madam Speaker. They're here for themselves, fighting over political legacy projects while the CLP gets on with the job of delivering a budget that repairs the legacy of their mess. And one such project they just can't let go of, even posting about on social media after I gave them a clear answer about its status during estimates, is the removal of the Pepperminardi Police Station from the infrastructure program. And Madam Speaker, the clear answer that I gave was that the community and the police expressed to the government that they did not want it. So why would we progress with it when you have a community and a police force that say that they don't want it? The opposition always carry on to say that we're not out talking to the community or listening to the community. Well, this is a very, very clear piece where we've listened to the community and we've listened to the organisation and we're not progressing with it. Madam Speaker, as the CLP delivers a budget that puts the Territory on a path to recovery after Labor's 8 long years of a fiscal fiasco, the last thing we need to do is a repeat of the Nightcliff Police Station, wasting money on building useless infrastructure that is of no use to the community. After 2 weeks of estimates, it's clearer than ever that the opposition have the wrong priorities. They used estimates to advocate for projects they couldn't deliver on and that Territorians don't want their advocacy on. Madam Speaker, the opposition's inability to focus on what matters makes it even clearer that with the CLP's first budget, this government is putting money where it's needed and where it's wanted. We're showing Territorians that we believe every community matters. This budget shows Territorians that the CLP is serious about making every Territorian family feel safe and that every child has the future that they deserve. The CLP, Madam Speaker, have the priorities right. And unlike Labor, we're not going to fund status symbols in Darwin at the cost of Territorians' future while Alice Springs is in crisis. And this budget invests in what makes the Territory feel like home. We've committed $615 million for remote housing, $4.34 billion in total capital works, $290 million in household relief and subsidies, $2.5 billion for health and $1.6 billion for education. And I picked up on the comments from the member for Arafura, where again he's trying to gaslight and mislead Territorians. He spoke about the cyclone shelter in Maningrida. Well, we can't build all these cyclone shelters in one go, and the priority cyclone shelter happens to be in Nhulunbuy. So the one in Nhulunbuy will get built first, and then the program for the one in Maningrida will come second, because that was the second priority. The Carlin compound, he said, we've stopped the money for the Carlin compound. Well, I actually met with the members from the Carlin compound, and I spoke about this in estimates. And yes, I can't deliver it in this financial year, but I gave the commitment to the people from the Carlin compound that I'll deliver it in the outer years, because we just don't have the money to deliver it, everything in the one budget. And of course, he also spoke about housing targets and how we were reducing delivering houses over the next 12 months. And again, I explained that in estimates, and I'll explain it here in the chamber again today, Madam Speaker. And this is where Labor have made a mess of this. They didn't deliver enough lots to put the houses on. So we can build the houses, the transportable houses, but if you don't have anywhere to put them, Madam Speaker, what is the point? So the focus in the next 12 months is delivering the all-important lots out in communities so that we can then start delivering housing to them. So, and just, I'll go back to home in Alice Springs, and just for Alice Springs alone, and again, the member for 𝙍𝙀𝙇𝙀𝙍𝙎 said that we're not investing, there was no new money for Alice Springs. Well, there's $168.7 million to restore safety and livability.
Silence, please.
A new library, a skate and play precinct, a multicultural centre and a visitor centre. We've saved Anzac Oval and restored it. Land is being released for new housing at Kilgariff, and free pool access in summer to beat the heat. We're also investing in Alice Springs in events and culture, $36.5 million for major events, fireworks protected on Territory Day, new walking trails, new sports facilities to support Aboriginal supports. Because the Territory isn't just a place to live, it's a place to belong, a place worth putting down roots, and a place worth staying here for good. And we want people to come and call the Territory home. And let me address this head on again. We are not cutting services. We are doing the opposite and funding them properly. We're delivering $1.5 billion for hospitals, $313 million for primary care, $135 million for mental health, and $100 million in new annual funding for health operations. In education, free TAFE, bonuses for apprentices and trainees, $120 million for vocational and higher education, remote Aboriginal investment funding of $842 million, Madam Speaker. Labor made big promises with short-term funding, but we are delivering funding certainty and continuity, something that those opposite couldn't do. Madam Speaker, Territorians didn't elect us to sit on our hands and watch our crime and our economy further descend into crisis. They elected us to act, and in our year of action, we are putting victims before offenders. We're cutting taxes, not services. We are fixing infrastructure and delivering infrastructure, not just headlines. We are funding the front line, not just this budget, but into the future. And we are backing in every Territorian, not just the politically connected. This is what real leadership looks like, Madam Speaker. So to those opposite still clutching onto their cut and paste press releases, still confused about where all the money went, still asking why we didn't fund their pet projects, I say this. If you had have done your job, you would have your pet projects and we wouldn't have to clean up your mess. But we are cleaning it up line by line, project by project, community by community, because that's what Territorians have asked us to do. And we will not let them down, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I commend the Appropriation Bill and Revenue Amendment Bill 2025 to the House. And Madam Speaker, I move that the bill be read a third time.